Hi, y'all. Thanks for agreeing to come tonight and listen to my speech on this very important topic. Do you or someone you know have a disability that affects your ability to succeed in school or makes learning difficult? Are you aware that you have the right to obtain accommodations to help you overcome any barriers to learning? Do you know what accommodations are or how to obtain them? Many students with disabilities aren't even aware that they have the right to accommodations or even know what they are or how to obtain them if they have a disability that makes them have barriers to learning. The information is often difficult to find, and the school may not offer any guidance. The key to success is being prepared and knowing what you're legally entitled to when it comes to receiving accommodations. When a student with a recognized disability is seeking academic accommodations for school, they must prepare ahead of time before meeting with their representative from the school. That will help them ensure a successful meeting and be able to obtain the accommodations without meeting any resistance from the school. I have a disability that impedes my ability to be successful in school without accommodations. I have encountered many, many roadblocks along the way when it has come to trying to obtain accommodations for my disability. Today I'll explain what academic accommodations are and who qualifies for them. I'll tell you how to find information about the law and what your rights are. I will also tell you the steps you need to take prior to your meeting with the representatives from the school to obtain accommodations. This is an overview of what we're going to cover today. You could pass that around and then give it back to me when you're done. It's a little small, so I didn't want to hold it up here. What are reasonable accommodations and who can get them? Reasonable accommodations, as defined by the Americans with Disabilities Act, are adjustments so that an individual with a disability can fully meet the eligibility criteria and standards required for inclusion. And that's a direct quote from Title I of the ADA. What qualifies as a disability? According to the Americans with Disabilities Act, a disabled person is a person who has a physical or mental impairment that substantially affects or limits one or more major life activity, or someone who has a history of having such an impairment. The ADA does not have a specific list of what qualifies as a disability. So basically, it's anything that may limit your daily activities, and they don't define them so that you can't be excluded if you have a condition that may not be on the list. And that's very important when it comes to obtaining accommodations. What are some of your sources for information on learning your rights and responsibilities? You can just set that to the side. Thank you. The Americans with Disabilities Act is the source for the federal guidelines for the legal description of reasonable accommodations and who qualifies, as well as what the school must do to comply. That's very important because legalities are your friend. Your school must have written guidelines in place for you to follow that comply with the ADA. They also must have a named representative for you to meet with and present your documentation and support you throughout your school year to make sure you get your accommodations. Also, your local Department of Rehab is another resource. The steps that you need to take to prepare prior to your appointment are familiarize yourself with your rights. You need to meet with your healthcare provider. Get a specific diagnosis of your disability. You need to come up with a list with your healthcare provider of accommodations that you will need and make sure that those accommodations fall under the legal ones defined by the ADA. Then you need to set up a meeting with your specific representative from your school and present those accommodations to be requested by your healthcare provider. Now that we've talked about what the process is, I want to summarize by saying that students with a disability most definitely have a right to reasonable accommodations to help them be successful in school. It is often difficult to obtain them if you don't know where to find the information. You can be successful if you know where to find the information and if you prepare prior to your meeting. Having a disability should not take away your dreams to earn a degree. You can do so with a little extra assistance. You have the right, and knowledge is power.